Sonoma Sideshow.
Welcome to Sonoma Sideshow. Recorded at Grim Reaper Studios, located somewhere at the base of the beautiful Blue Mountains in eastern Oregon. I'm your host, Les, the Snowman Cheney. Tonight, we welcome Jesse Barnes. Jesse was born on a Marine base in Okinawa, Japan, but grew up in Corvallis, Oregon, where he later earned his business and communications degree at Oregon State University, and is a real estate broker, investor, and helps others around the U.S. start their own real estate teams at EXP Real. Jesse's wife, Allie, also works in the real estate field as a mortgage broker, and she and Jesse have two beautiful children, Olivia and McKenna. Tonight, we'll talk to Jesse about his career, his passions, his family, and hopefully he can touch on his South Korean heritage. Very interesting, so stick around for that. Hoping to get Kevin Porkchop Klutts on the show also to let us know what's going down in Southeast Texas. So, should be a good show.
I'm a monster truck baby, and you're an 85 Monday. I'm a monster truck baby.
Okay, let's head out to Southeast Texas to special correspondent Kevin Porkchop Klutts. Kevin, what's going down?
Pork chop. Oh, man. What a day.
What a day.
What a day. What a day. I got some bad news, though.
Uh-oh.
Let's get the bad news out of the way.
Yeah.
Crawfish prices have not dropped. They've gone up $4.
Whoa.
We keep getting these little cool snaps, and they're not growing.
Yeah.
Not reproducing, not eating.
Yeah.
Dormant.
Terrible.
But it won't be long. It won't be long. That's about it on the crawfish. Let's get on to some good news. Hey, you remember that time we went to Louisiana?
I do remember that time.
Yeah, that's good times.
Just across the bridge and got out, touched the dirt, and got back in and went across. Yeah.
Louisiana is Louisiana.
Yeah.
Went there today. To the beach. A little bit cool, wasn't ideal beach weather, but it was a great time. Listening to the waves crash against the shore. Well, maybe not exactly like that, but it's close.
Right, right.
Yeah, love this area, man. We just all the wildlife, and it's a great place.
Just a great place.
Great place to be outdoors.
Yeah.
Except for July and August, of course. Hey, man, check this out.
All right.
You know, my nephew, Evan, got a hole-in-one today.
Is that so?
His first one, 16 years old. Hole-in-one and an eagle.
What?
Yep.
In one game?
One game, yeah.
One round? Holy Moses.
And they were playing up at Eagle Point there in Mont Bellevue, and it's a pretty hilly course. It's pretty tough.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That is awesome.
That's it, man. We got the South Texas State Fair coming this month.
Everybody getting jazzed up for that?
Yeah, getting jazzed up, son.
All right. All right.
Yeah.
Hey, whatever became of that oil rig situation?
Oh, update. The guys were okay, and nobody knows how the fire started.
Oh,
But
great.
it got put out.
Somebody smoking cigarettes or reefer. That darn devil's lettuce underneath a bench somewhere and didn't want to get caught.
The devil's lettuce. Yeah.
Yeah. Right on, right on. Everything else is going good, though, down there?
No, yeah, going real good. We got got up to 80 today, man. We got this stuff coming from up there where y'all at.
Yep.
It'll be here Monday. It'll be rain and cold again.
Right.
So
Okay.
that ain't helping the crawfish none. But
No.
it is what it is, right?
That's right. Well, sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. That's it. That's what's up in Southeast Texas right now.
All right, man. Well, listen, we really appreciate the news and what's going on down there. So thanks a lot, Pork Chop. Catch you on the flip-flop.
All right, Snowman. Pork chop out.
Hey, Wizards and Wizettes, it's your boy Magus here. Not only do I like to produce and release podcasts, I also like to listen to podcasts. And one of my favorite shows to listen to is Snowman's Sideshow. Go check him out. It's great stuff for great minds like yourself. Stay frosty, stay golden. Peace.
All right. It was nice to hear from the Pork Chop again. Everything seems to be going well down in Southeast Texas. And, hey, check this out. Breaking news. This just in. Tonight, breaking news correspondent Jeff Moura will be reporting from Boise, Idaho. Jeff, what is going on?
Good evening. This is Jeff with our newest edition of Odd and Funny News Worldwide. Unfortunately, due to our friends in the Ukraine and Russia, fuel prices have went up, and the Snowman Sideshow helicopter has been grounded, so I've been forced to use an e-bike this week. My apologies. Starting off, Percy, a 2-story porcupine puppet, makes his point in Elysian Fields, California. Percy, who is a product of Jim Henson's Culture Shop in Glendale, was making a stop in L.A. before heading to the San Diego Zoo, where he will take part in the opening of the new Wildlife Explorers base camp. Percy, the 2-story porcupine, was poked out of his log by a mammoth array of bananas and greeted with glee by school children in the local area. Heading to the San Diego Zoo, he will take part in the opening of the newest Wildlife Adventures base camp on March 11th. According to those who assembled him, creating the towering porcupine was no small task even for the Jim Henson Creature Shop. It took more than 20,000 man-hours to bring Percy to life and takes 4 separate puppeteers to operate the oversized rodent, which does include moving eyes and a mouth. A 2-story porcupine, imagine how big those quills are. That would be one gigantic prick for sure. Moving on to our friends in Germany. A small herd of cows in Germany, and you heard that correctly, cows, have learned how to be an impressive animal. The cattle use a small fenced-in area with artificial turf as a bathroom stall. Not really much different from a local Eastern Oregon or Western Idaho bar. The cow's toilet training talent isn't just for show. This setup could allow farms to easily capture and treat the cow's urine, which often pollutes the air, soil, and water. The average cow can pee up to 5 gallons per day. And there are some 1 billion cattle worldwide. That is a lot of pee. In barns, that urine typically mixes with fecal material across the floor and creates a mixture that fouls the air with ammonia. Out in pastures, pee can also reach the nearby waterways. This liquid releases nitrous oxide, which is a potent greenhouse gas. Dr. Lindsay Matthews calls himself a cow psychologist. I'm always of the mind, he says. How can we get animals to help us in their management? Apparently, he has realized that currently cowboys are not up to the job anymore. Matthews was part of a team in Germany that tried to potty train 16 calves. Each calf got 45 minutes of what the team calls moo-loo training per day. Surprisingly, they had a 66% pass rate, the cows will get a treat when they use the stall. The other 33% of the cattle will be in your most current McRib sandwich from McDonald's.
Oh, God.
And it even goes further. Moura training has been investigated by a biosystems engineer at the University of Minnesota in St. Paul. He comments, ammonia from cattle is a major contributor to reduced human health, he says. I did not know that feedlots were that so bad for you. He went on to say potty training cows may not just be beneficial for people. It could also make farms cleaner, a more comfortable place to live, and besides that, it's just impressive. And that, my friend, is no BS.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
And moving on to our last story, we have done a lot of research on the Encyclopedia Britannica that we now all refer to as Google. Google has reported that the most recent Sasquatch encounter happened in Northern California recently. It is reported by the Bigfoot organization that on January 16th, in Humboldt County, California, and the nearest town is Red Crest, our witness, and we'll just keep her name at Katie, was hiking on one of the local trails known as the Dreary Cheney Trail. This is a trail that they hike regularly with their family, up to 3 times a week. In the summer, they hike the trail almost every day with their 2-year-old son, her mother, and her father. Most recently, Katie explains, this is a quote, I am talking, we heard a loud yell, scream, guttural screech echoing throughout the woods. She goes on to explain, my family and I have grown up in the redwoods. We have heard everything that nature has to offer in the way of animal sounds. It wasn't a raven, a fox, a bear, a lion, because those are indigenous to Northern California, a deer bleat, a chipmunk, or a hawk, and an array of other irritating animals that make noises in the forest. She declares that it sounded almost human, but for the fact it traveled through the woods so clearly and loud really shook all of us. That sound was nothing we had ever heard before. It was just far enough in the distance for whatever it was to get its point across without making us petrified. This leads me to believe, throughout my own experiences in life, this could have been a female Sasquatch. It stopped my mother and my son in their tracks. There was no doubt that we all heard the same thing. My father was talking and didn't hear it this time, but my dad is hard of hearing and obviously did not have his hearing aid. When we told him what we heard, he said he knew exactly what we were talking about because it happened last time he hiked the trail with my mother. I will just leave the door closed there. We all got the feeling we were being watched and feeling that we shouldn't go too far away until we stopped hearing the sound. We finally made it back to the car and drove off. When we got back home, my dad shared that he had heard the sound like that before on the last hike. For that particular hike, my dad said he hadn't said anything because he didn't want to scare my mother. So that, my friend, is the last documented Sasquatch encounter in the United States.
Wow. Humboldt County.
Just below us in the fine state of Oregon.
Yeah, and like just by chance, it also is the golden. What are they? The Golden Triangle. Also, or what do they call it for the all the marijuana industry down there?
This is true. I will not speculate as if that had anything to do with her report. But it sounds legitimate to me and was verified by an official Bigfoot investigator.
Excellent. Excellent. Wow. Well, thank you, Jeff. I really appreciate that report from Boise, Idaho. What kind of weather we got this evening?
It started off sunny and almost clear and a nice 50 degrees, but we do have a storm moving in, so the temperature has dropped a little bit, but that will not stop us from throwing a stack of ribs on the barbecue grill later this evening.
There you go. Okay, I've got a pork loin with a little bit of Kansas City barbecue rub on it. Been cooking since 1 o'clock, so I'm looking forward to that.
That sounds marvelous.
All right. Well, hey, listen, thank you very much. I appreciate the report. We're definitely going to check back with you at another time. Until then, we will talk to you soon.
Thank you very much, and that was The World According to Jeff, and I am out of here.
All right. Thank you so much to our breaking news correspondent, Jeff Moura, out of Boise, Idaho. I hope to have a lot more folks around the country that I know doing little reports here and there. Always swing it back around to Pork Chop. See what's going on out there. So thank you very much, Jeff. Coming up next, my interview with Jesse Barnes. Stick around.
Well, I operate on women. I don't fool around with men. So turn around now, baby. Let's see what shape you're in.
All right. All right, welcome to the show, Jesse Barnes. Jesse, how you doing tonight?
Good. How are you doing, Les?
I'm doing great. I'm looking forward to this interview. I think we're gonna touch on a lot of cool things and learn a lot about you. So, I was hoping maybe tonight you could start by just kind of telling us where you're from, kind of who you are, and how you got here.
Yeah. Well, my mom and dad were hanging out one night.
Oh, okay.
How I got here, or let's see here.
Yeah.
Well, my mom and dad met in South Korea. Actually, scratch that. My mom is from South Korea, and my mom grew up actually very, very, very poor. I think she had over like 6 siblings, which is pretty frowned upon over there. So poor to the fact that she would tell me stories that she would, chew a stick of gum for a week and stick it on her wall, and then when she would go into town the next week, she would get a new stick of gum. Completely like a different world. And so when she turned of age to leave the house, I think she told her mom essentially, like, I think I got to get out of the village here, and I'm going to go visit some of my friends in Japan who are married to some servicemen, and a lot of them are over there, so I'm just going to go visit them. So she goes over there, meets my dad, and if you ask my dad, Dean Barnes' story, it might be a little bit different than my mom's, but my mom says that she went to the local bar there on base in Okinawa, and that my dad asked her out. She said no, and apparently my dad went to the same bar every night for the next 20 nights or something like that. So I saw my mom there again.
Yeah. Later
on, asked her out again. She said okay. They started dating, got married on there. My mom ended up not deciding to head back. Got married. I was born on the Marine base there. My dad was a parachute rigger in the Navy. When I was about a little less than 1, we moved back to Oregon, where my dad's from. Actually, my dad's kind of an Oregon mutt. He grew up everywhere in Oregon, in terms of like John Day, Bend, Pendleton, Corvallis. So, but we moved to Bend, is what my dad says, and then we moved like shortly thereafter. My dad wanted to finish up his degree, so he went to Oregon State, moved to Corvallis. My dad essentially worked night shifts as a security guard over there, and raised me. And I had a sister when I turned 3 years old. My sister's name is Maria. She was born when I was 3, so we got a 3-year gap. She was born there in Oregon, in Corvallis. And, from there, just grew up in the town of Corvallis. I went to high school there, Crescent Valley High. My dad went from a security guard to a space planning manager there. And then from there, my dad now currently is the chief civil deputy of Benton County there in Corvallis, where they live. And so, yeah, I mean, from there, went to Oregon State.
You played sports in high school, of course.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Football, basketball, and baseball. I played all three sports from freshman, sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Right on.
Loved it, but I was more of a business-minded person, and I didn't have what it took to be D1 athlete. And so I just went to Oregon State. My sister, my junior year, she ended up going to Oregon State too. Was living at the House of Charis there, which is a Christian girls co-op there on campus for Oregon State girls. And my sister's roommate, her name was Allie, and I was like, hey, who's that roommate of yours? So started hanging out, and from there we started dating. Both graduated. I had a speech communications and marketing degree, the business focus, and my wife graduated with speech comm as well. We both moved to Salem, got married, have two little girls here. My wife has been a mortgage lender for the last 7 years now, and here in Oregon, and she's also licensed in Arizona. And I've been doing real estate investing. I was the operations manager for a real estate firm here in Oregon for the last 7 years, and I actually just quit that job December 31st to kind of pursue my own stuff. But yeah, so I mean, when I first started that job, I think there was 5 employees. We managed about 450 units throughout the Willamette Valley here in Salem, and I quit December 31st of 2021, so about 2 months ago. And I think I grew that to probably a little over 2,000 units and about 50 employees. And so It was great, lots of learning. One of the biggest, management companies now in Oregon, and I love the owner. It was just time for me to kind of build something for myself rather than for someone else's family. And but nothing, so that's where we're at today.
Right on. What are you doing right now then? I did not know this, so let's dig into that.
Yeah, well, right now I'm in my office talking to you.
Right.
No, I think right now what we're doing is I decided to just go full-time into real estate, so buying and selling, and I actually a team builder for my real estate company. So traditional, I don't want to bore you and your listeners with the real estate stuff, but to be quite honest, traditional real estate is, for instance, let's say Keller Williams, you have to franchise Keller Williams, and the principal broker of that Keller Williams buys that territory and then brings on agents in that area, and those agents now work for that principal broker who owns that territory. Well, if one of those agents, say I came along and said, hey, Mr. Keller Williams, principal broker over here, I would love to bring on some agents, and I want to start my own little team here. He says, too bad, I own this territory, and if you bring on an agent, I make money off it, not you. So the company I work for, EXP, allows for people to bring on agents and make money off of them. So essentially, and it's a global company, so I have an agent here in Salem that works with me, and I have a team member in Arizona that's under me as well. So I can have my own team, build my own culture, buy and sell real estate wherever, and not have to pay any franchise fees. I don't have to give anything up. So essentially, I'm able to help other people rinse and repeat what I've done and build something for themselves rather than something for their principal broker. So that's the quick version of it. So
right.
Been doing it for 2 months, and I've brought on a couple agents. And again, at the end of the day, we're a real estate company. We buy and sell real estate, but it also allows for agents who have leadership qualities to also do a little bit more than just buy and sell. They can actually have their own teams. They can, do more than just buy and sell. So that's the quick version of it.
Yeah, wow. That is a lot to chew on there. Wow. Now, so where do you plan on going with all this? Tell me what's next. Where are you headed?
Well, I guess I'll tell you right now, because by the time this comes out, I'll have told my Uncle Kurt, so he won't be jealous.
Oh, he did send word that he wanted to make sure that you discussed what a role model he was to you.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I still owe his friend $20 for poker, but no, my Uncle Kurt, as a side note before I get anything else, my Uncle Kurt has been a good role model for me. Obviously, our family isn't perfect, Les, as you know, but I really do wish that you and I were closer too. But I'm glad that we've rekindled and talked, and I got to, see Blake. Now he's a man, and the beautiful family that you have, and I really appreciate, what you and Wendy have built over there, and even listening to, Jenny's story, just it's a testament to you and Wendy as well too. So I just want you to know that.
Appreciate that, Jesse. Thank you.
Yeah, but what was the question?
Well, just where are you headed? I mean, now you did the one thing for 7 years, and then you kind of branched off to on your own now. But I mean, obviously, you've got a goal in mind.
Yeah. Well, so I guess this is going to tie into. I already know that I'm a fan of yours, so I know that at the end you're going to ask me some life lessons. So I'm going to drop one of them right now.
Okay.
Time is more valuable than money. Yeah. So Elon Musk, me, you, Richard Branson, name whoever else, there's one thing that we all have in common, and that's we have 24 hours in a day, right? We only have a certain amount of time here on Earth. So my goal is to do the plowing now and work hard now while my kids, I have a 4-year-old girl and a 1-year-old girl, McKenna and Olivia, and they're both young enough right now where they're not into soccer. They don't got sports. They don't got their dance recitals. They don't have their Christmas recitals. They're young enough to where I should be working hard enough now so when that time comes, I don't have to choose besides taking my PTO or choosing between money or volunteering to be a chaperone at my kids' dance or volunteering to be a chaperone at, their field trip. I just determined that when I was younger that I want to. My dad was very present. Me and my sister's lives, and I wanted the same for, my family. So currently right now, my wife and I, Allie, we have 14 new rental units that are in Tucson, Arizona, and we plan on, buying more and having some form of passive income. And it doesn't make a ton of money, but one other reason why I believe in real estate and other forms of investments as well is if something, I don't want to say when something in life happens, because life will happen, right? I never want to be in a position where I have to displace my family and sell my house. I want to have other valuable, tangible assets that I can dispose of to pay for things like emergencies or, heaven forbid, medical bills or whatever may happen in life. I want to make sure that I don't have to sell my house and put them out or do anything like that. So, again, my whole goal is to create enough passive income to where, not that I'm going to sit on the beach and sip Mai Tais, but where I can be at the point where, I don't have to choose between my kids and money. I never, ever want to do that. And to be honest, one of the great quotes that I've heard recently that has shook me is, money doesn't buy happiness, right? But this person said, money doesn't buy happiness, but giving money away does buy happiness. That's the truth, right? Like seeing, again, a testament to what you and Wendy did with, bringing on Jenny and inviting her into the fabric of your guys' lives is something that not everyone can do financially, let alone time-wise, but that's something that I want to do someday and see and not have to worry about that. So money can be great in the right hands, but money can also be bad in the wrong hands. And I want to make sure that I'm a good steward of that. I don't know if you're listeners, but I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and there's just certain things that I believe in that I want my money to go towards. And so one of that, again, is first and foremost, my number one ministry in life is to my wife and my kids, not to money. And I want to make sure that I don't ever have to choose between the two. So that's kind of where we're going. But yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Well articulated. And I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I always told all 3 of my children, whatever you do not, as cheesy as it sounds, don't chase money, because do what you love and the money will follow. You won't feel like you're trying to chase the dollar. And I hope that they follow that. I've always preached it, and I hope that that's what they're going to do. But they're going to do what they're going to do. So.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Well, that's pretty impressive. So tell me what you do in your free time? Like, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, my free time,
Which isn't much, I know.
Yeah, I mean, I just like spending time with my kids, to be quite honest. If not, I mean, ever since COVID happened, I used to go to the gym quite a bit, and our gym's shut down for a little while, right? And so what I did is, I was like, screw it, I'm not gonna, let my health deteriorate, even though it kind of, I can't really stop Father Time. My knees start cracking already when I bend over. But I built a sauna in my third car garage, so I like going in there because I live in the Willamette Valley where it's pretty rainy and cold and pretty disgusting a lot of the times. So sitting in there, it's pretty nice. And then, I don't know, I like to golf when I can, when it's not raining, which is hardly ever, but I'm not good at it, but it's fun. Yeah, I mean, when I can, going over to Bend to see my sister Maria and her husband Trevor. Family's very important to me, but yeah, I mean, that's about it. I mean, I do play guitar. I'm not as good as you are, not even close.
Yeah.
But I do enjoy it, and the years that my parents spent putting money into piano lessons, and I think why I didn't pick up piano is because my teacher made me play things that I didn't want to play, so it didn't make it enjoyable.
Exactly.
And I hated it. I truly hated it. I took like a year and a half from lessons and then went to college, and I picked up a guitar, and I immediately was, I sound so like ridiculous saying it, but I picked it up faster than other people. Mm-hmm. And because, and I to this day, I swear it's because my fundamentals that I was, my parents, spent money on for me learning piano.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. Well, I totally agree with you. Now, what's your, what kind of equipment do you prefer?
Oh, yeah. I have a Gibson Songwriter Deluxe acoustic guitar, and I've got a Les Paul Gibson custom with a silver burst. I had a Vox AC30, but my wife wouldn't let me bring it to our house because it's even on the lowest setting, it would just take your ears off when I was in our house. But and it was too big. It's just, what am I going to do with that thing? So we have a little orange amp that my wife had. My wife likes guitar too. She's not like, she doesn't play it every day, but she enjoys it. She's very musically gifted as well. So she can pick up a guitar and play, your simple C, G, A minor, F, But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it. I just lean more on the acoustic. My first guitar I've ever had was a crummy old like Alvarez guitar, but I like it and I'll never get rid of it because it was my first,
Yeah.
But, yeah, some people it's like, oh, I had an Ibanez or right, but that's my first. So that's what I have.
That's sick. All right, I like it. Now, what would you say is your favorite music to play?
Man, I don't sound like him because I don't have the Fender Telecaster. But I love John Mayer's incredible. I love listening to John Mayer. Like he's insane. And you know what? People don't realize, they think he's just some pop country star. But gosh, Keith Urban can shred, and I love. He is.
Him. Yes, he's unbelievable. Great musician. Yeah.
Incredible. So it's stupid. Yeah, like everyone knows Eric Clapton and stuff like that. But dude, you watch. I don't know. I like both of them, but yeah, I mean, what you like to play is different than what you like to listen to.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I like all. I can appreciate. I can truly say I appreciate all sorts of music. I can truly say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, did you ever organize and play with other folks, or has it strictly been just kind of a home thing, or where'd that lead you?
Yeah. I mean, every aspiring musician has the dreams of like doing something like that. I played in college at our college church, at our ministry, and I was leading worship there. And that's actually kind of how Allie and I met again over there. But from there, I met some good musicians, and we started something that lasted maybe 8 months. And it was kind of cool though. I mean, there's a musician out there that not many people know. His name's Josh Garrels. And, I opened up for him, and it was kind of cool to do that and meet him. And in fact, like one of his guitar strings snapped on stage, and I'll never forget. We're at the pub where we're playing this thing, and he looks over at me at the bar, and he's like, "Hey, Jesse, can I use your guitar?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So I would say that Gibson Songwriter Deluxe I have has been played by someone that I know that I really like. But yeah, I mean that's as far as it went. Ever since then, I mean, people tried to gas me up and say you need to try out for this and that, and I don't know. I just never. I guess you could say maybe I didn't love it enough, or maybe I'm too, not insecure, but too realistic to think that, like, I know the basics, but it's not me. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, I don't know.
That's cool. Right on. Yeah. I mean, it's weird because for me, I didn't pick up guitar till it was later in life. It was something I always, when I say later, I mean, I was in my 20s. So I had never even tried to play. But like you, when I was much younger, I took piano lessons and didn't really get into it. And then, when I was in my 20s and living out on my own, I was like, I'm going to buy a guitar and learn how to play it. And so I started taking lessons, and it's almost exactly kind of what you said there. I took lessons, and then I finally just told him one day, look, I don't really want to know music theory. Here's a song I like right now. Tell me the 3 chords or whatever the chords are. And so he started teaching me that, and that changed everything. And then I stopped going to him, and I met another guy that was into blues, which is what I like. And then he started teaching me stuff, and then it just snowballed from there. Yeah. Now, I mean, I would never say that I'm done playing music. Now, maybe collectively as in a band, I'm not playing music anymore, but I'm surrounded by my guitars as we speak, and sometimes I pick them up and I play them for a minute 30 before the fingers start hurting, and I realize that, to get those pads, I have to work hard, and I don't really want to. And being realistic, So,
but you know what? Those guitars that you look at, those are a part of your life. You look back at a season and you're like, that was me, man. I could play that. That's kind of cool. Whether you play it a lot now or not, that's a part of you. Which, you can always say that.
Absolutely.
What was your first guitar?
You know what? The very first electric guitar was a Sears. What did Sears call those in the 60s? It was called a Sears. I can't think of the exact name of it. Something Caster. They copied the Stratocaster. But it was a Sears guitar. Now, it was a friend of mine, my first blues sensei, and he said, hey, and he was a left-handed guy. And he goes, I've got this old guitar I played in the 60s, early 60s, that you're more than welcome to use. And so I played that. At first, that was my first electric, and then from there I went to a Les Paul Epiphone, and then to a Mexican Telecaster, and then I bought an American Strat, and I still have that Strat. Now that Strat's probably 23 years old now, so
you bought some equity into that though. That thing's worth. I bet you that thing's worth twice as much as what you paid it for at minimum. Right.
And then, of course, acoustically, I only had a couple acoustics, and I just jumped right in and bought a Martin. I heard that was the way to go, and I still don't regret it. I'm, looking at it as we're talking, and it's like you said, it's almost an investment.
Yeah, 100%.
It's really cool. So, well, right on. Maybe one of these days we can get together and actually jam. Your Uncle Kurt fancied himself as a music, not producer, more of a promoter. I think he tried to promote me early on when I was playing. And really, he was just really a great cheerleader. I will say that.
I was just about to say, Kurt will always be your biggest cheerleader. That's one thing you can always count on. Yeah. Not just you, but other people. Yeah. Kurt gets really excited for other people's success, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's always been my number one fan. Sometimes my only fan. So that's what family's for. But right on. So what else you got going on in your life that's new and adventurous and coming up? And
yeah, well, again, by the time this comes out, I'll have texted Kurt and my grandma Charlotte and everyone. But I think we just decided today, we're 99% sure that my wife Allie got a job offer to start up a certain mortgage company in Arizona. So we actually we're kind of 85-90% sure we're going to be moving to Arizona. Actually.
Oh wow, that
yeah.
Okay, you caught me off guard with that. Now you were saying that earlier, and I was thinking, what's he going to say? What's he going to say? Yeah. So okay, I think that is absolutely amazing because I think life is weird. It has all these synchronicities, and I don't fully understand them all. But my son Blake is thinking about moving to Arizona also.
Yep.
And I know my wife and I are thinking we're getting closer to retirement, and we're hoping to snowbird down there somewhere. So.
And you know what's funny is my dad keeps talking about it too. He's like, Jesse, have you seen how much money that you can keep in your pocket if you lived in Arizona financially, and the income tax versus the I'll just say, I mean, a $700,000 to $900,000 house over there, the property taxes are $3,500 max.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No. My house here is $7,500 a year, so I'm actually pretty excited.
That's insane. Wow.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, because I'm thinking, I live in a cottage. I mean, we're talking a cottage, and it's $2,700.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Yeah, so I don't know. I heard that the only thing you have to worry about is the summers, where 3 months out of the year it can get to 110, 120, and as long as you got an AC, you're good, and you do everything by 9 a.m., you're good.
Right on.
But
nice.
But the rest of the year, I mean, Allie and I were just down there a month ago in February. It was 81 degrees and sunny, and I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of people that choose to snowbird down there just because it's good on your health in terms of like joints and older people, and financially, I think too. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people go places, but yeah.
Absolutely. Well, now I'm hoping, you're a real estate investor. I hope that you, Wendy and I's dream was that when we snowbird down there, somebody would just have this large chunk of property, like it could be commercial, whatever. Yeah. And they're like, and with my background, they'd be like, yeah, you stay in your fifth wheel on the property and just be security and watch it during these months. And then, that's kind of our pipe dream, but we'll see what really happens. I might.
Hey, you tell me what you need to make happen, and I will do it for a family. I try to do everything. One thing, if you ever guys want to come over, Blake has a place, you have a place, the whole family. If you guys ever want to come over, we got plenty of room. We plan on going over there. We got approved. We're gonna rent for 6 months and actually look for schools that we really want to have our daughters go to. Look for some community. And but the rental we have is, it's got a pool, 4 bedrooms and a bonus room. So we got plenty of room for you guys to come over whenever you want.
Nice. And that's going to be in Tucson, you said? No.
No. Actually in Chandler. So
Chandler, yes. Yep. I know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, just south of Phoenix. But in Chandler, I think that's about 20 minutes from Scottsdale and, not too far from everything. So
Right on. That sounds awesome. Hey, now I know you're kind of I don't know how much, but you game a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little. So yeah, that's one of my outlets that I just like for when I'm bored, like when the kids are down. I haven't played probably a week and a half. I mean, it can go in spurts where I'll play for 2-3 nights in a row, but then I won't play for 3 weeks. But yeah, I play for a little bit. I usually wait till the girls are down, and I lay down with them, read to them, then go lay down. Allie's zonked out, and I'm just like wired awake on my phone, and I'm thinking about stuff. Sometimes I'll go play for 45 minutes until I'm just ready to hit the sack. So it's usually to pass time, but I mean, I enjoy it. It's something that I don't know if Blake can attest or if he's explained to you or what your thoughts on it, but it's for me, it's not like sitting down and watching something. I love watching documentaries or murder mysteries on Netflix, just like the rest of us. But I mean, being able to hop on and engage with something that will make you think, whether it's strategy or, hey, I'm going to go over here. Where are you covering me from? I don't know. I always like keeping active somehow, like keeping my brain active. And I don't know.
I totally agree. And I mean, I'm just self-proclaiming this, but like, I'm OG gamer. Like, I got a original Nintendo. I mean, I remember playing Atari, but I remember my first, console. My older sister bought me a Nintendo, and I can recall, and it's nothing now, but I saw it my own son, but I would stay up all night long, me and my buddies, and we would hear about these cheats, right? Like if you, in Super Mario Brothers, if you bounced on the shell a certain way, you would get these extra lives. And when I learned that, we're talking 19, mid to late 80s, it's like, whoa, this is amazing. And we would stay up all night. So I always felt like I was this OG gamer, and I did a lot of pinball and foosball and all those. But then when my son came along, well, what's the first thing I do? Whatever system was out, I bought him. So he would have
a Nintendo 64.
Oh, he's had all of them, of course. All of them. And I loved. I know it sounds. We did sports. We did all the stuff, but I'm talking in real life. But the gaming is one of my fondest memories, because we would we would play for hours on end, different games. Usually it was sports, or when he got older, we got into, of course, the original Call of Duty and stuff like that. But that's some of my fondest memories, is me and him laying there on the couch on a Sunday afternoon, before the real world starts on Monday, and we're just gaming, and we're together, we're doing it,
That's awesome. That's
sounds
so
corny,
cool,
but, I loved it.
No, that's an awesome memory. And I had my dad that wasn't a huge gamer, but he enjoyed playing. Like, the one game that I will always remind me of my dad is Mario Kart on my N64. And there, every time we'd play this certain track, when you'd get that little shell or something like that, he'd be like, "No shocking me at the jump," or I don't know. It's just I don't know. I think that video games people can say are wasting time, but I also think that going to the bar and sitting there for 4 hours is just as much of a waste. I mean, I've met friends. Shoot, look at where it's taken his life. I know who he's met.
I know.
Right?
I know. That's insane.
Crazy.
That is insane. Yeah, I know. And I didn't even believe him at first. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
No, but, so that, I guess in a nutshell, I think there was a time when people thought, oh, gaming is bad for kids, but I don't know. I mean, like anything, what isn't in moderation, you have to be with everything, so.
Social media, I think, is one of the worst things ever invented.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, gosh.
It's terrible. We could talk 2 hours about how that plays out nightly, especially with the world current events right now, which, has my son sweating bullets because he's still on active duty for another year or so, and so he's a little bit nervous. But so I was wondering if you would be comfortable speaking about, and something that I'm kind of interested in is you touched on it in your bio about your mother being from Korea and just a little bit, but I wondered if we could talk a little bit about that and like what's that meant to you. I mean, in today's world, look, we're all clinging to some sort of heritage. We all take our DNA tests, and we want to see what we are, and because we all want to belong to something, And so for me, what is what's that like for you to have two cultures that you belong to, and how has that shaped who you are?
Yeah. To be quite honest, I was growing up in America my sister, if you look at my sister, she's more of my dad's look, like kind of brown hair, not the eyes of a Korean person that you would think. So you could kind of maybe be like, oh, she maybe has something, but she's white, right? For me, I look at least half Korean, if not full. Right? So when I was growing up, it was hard because, and I'd say hard as if I grew up in the slums or in the red light district, but It was hard in a sense that I didn't have any idols to look up to that were Korean, so I didn't think it was cool. Right?
Exactly.
Like there was no Michael Jordan was African American. You know, you had Leonardo DiCaprio coming out with the movies, and I'm like, oh, I'll be the Jack to your, you know, whatever it is on Titanic, and I you see that, and people idolized those characters, and I did too. I mean,
Right.
Allen Iverson. I mean, I was like, oh yeah, we're the bands, and like, I don't know, but I didn't. I mean, Ichiro was, I mean, not even Korean, so I mean, like, it was weird, like trying to like find somebody to like idolize, and to be quite honest, it wasn't cool, right? To be of any other descent besides white, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I was honestly rather ashamed, and I grew up going to Korean school, which is after school I would try to write and read, which to this day I will always thank my mom for. Sorry.
No.
Yeah, so I definitely didn't embrace it, and so I've lost a lot of that of my mom's side, and
Well, it's crazy how life pulls us, right?
yeah,
You know, I mean, you can only there's so many paths we're trying to decide which one to go down, and yeah, you know, some things get left behind, but it's funny how it's all full circle too. So things come back.
yeah, and today I'm super proud of you know my little girls are a quarter Korean and
That's right.
a quarter Italian, and my wife's half Italian, and so but yeah, I mean, it was tough because my mom, I look at my mom as probably my biggest hero in life, just because where she came from and what she had to coming over here with nobody, no family, right?
Yeah.
So I'll never forget, about, I would say maybe 10 years ago, my mom, comes over, and me and Allie actually were dating at the time. We were over at my mom and dad's house in Corvallis, and my mom goes, she starts packing up her stuff, and I'm like, what's going on? She's like, my mom's really, really sick, and one of my siblings called me and said, you better get over here. So my mom's packing her stuff, and I can't remember how much time goes by, but another maybe hour goes by, and she stops packing. I'm like, what's going on, Mom? Want me to help you or anything like that? And she kind of just broke down and said she passed away, and I didn't get to see her. So,
Yep.
yeah, so what she had to go through, not being able to, feel like she could even help, kind of being helpless. So, and then that's just, recently, but just what she had to go through, leaving what she knew,
Yeah.
and trusting my dad that he was going to lead our family, which he did an incredible job with what, his kids turned out to be. And
Right.
it's just tough. So what my mom has done, gone through, and what she's sacrificed, is something that I can't be ashamed of ever. So,
No.
yeah.
No, and it blows my mind when you think of, I think of our grandparents, my own grandparents living, they grew up, and you compare to your own life. So you say, at 24, what was I doing? At 36, what was I doing? Or what were they doing? And comparing it to yourself. And I think of my own grandparents being from Alabama and saying goodbye to all their family and coming
Yep.
all the way out here to Oregon and starting a family. And now there's so many of us here. And the same with your mother. Just think about that travel, that road that she has traveled to now have a family here. And it's just, oh man.
Yeah, it's wild.
It is. It's wild. So now, have you got to travel to Korea at all?
Yeah, when I was, I think, maybe 10, and my sister was 7, or maybe I was 7 and she was 4. I don't remember, but I did go back there, and I absolutely, again, one of those things where I didn't appreciate. I hated it. I was homesick. I didn't want Asian food. I wanted my mac and cheese and pizza.
Yeah.
The only thing that made me not homesick was the taste of Coke, because it tastes the same everywhere. So I didn't like it, but one thing I'll never forget is visiting my mom. I mean, we flew into Seoul, which is one of the, I'm not Google here, but it's one of the biggest cities in the world, right? So we flew into Seoul, and it was huge, and visited family that owned karaoke bars, visited her aunts and uncles, and then we drove out to her mom's place, out in the middle of nowhere. I'm stepping in cow pies, and she's got shingles, and we hug her, and she looks frail at that time. I don't even know how she survived that long, but she grew up rolling her own tobacco for cigarettes, and my mom didn't have a dad. My mom's dad died when she was young, like 3. So my mom essentially was raised by a single mom on a farm. So you go and visit her and where she lived and where my mom grew up. You sit and lay down on the mat on the clay floor that she slept on when she was a kid, and it kind of, it's a complete culture shock for me. Yeah. And so her hands are all gnarly and busted up from working, her whole life. And it's just, she had memory loss. My mom would give her rolls of money and just say, "Hey, here, Mom, this is for you." And in the middle of the night, she would start crying. You'd hear my grandma crying. And my mom said she would crawl over there and start saying, "I don't know where the money went." And my mom would be like, "It's right here, Mom." My mom was like, "Yeah, I was laying down and I woke up to my mom crawling across the living room floor and touching me to make sure I didn't leave her, Yeah. I was like, wow. So it was, I'll never forget it, but that's just the reality. It's where my mom grew up,
Right.
It is.
And it shows you, just think of how much can change in a generation.
Oh, it's nuts.
It's crazy that the sick, especially, you could go deeper and think of the cyclical events that happen to many families and whatever, but, it's just wild. It's wild. Now, I wonder, as you embraced, and we all do this when we get older, I think we all kind of start embracing the things that we didn't want to face when we were younger, but in yours, I can't help but wonder, you talked about the mac and cheese and the things, the comfort foods from where you grew up, but is there anything from the Korean culture that you just fell in love with? It was like, this is definitely a part of my, my DNA. I love this.
Yeah. Well, LG TVs. Mm-hmm. No, there's a lot that is, Korea's been booming in the past 10 years, and I think it's become more, I guess, cool. People are like, oh, Korean soap operas or movies or TV shows like Squid Game. You've got companies like LG and Hyundai.
Kia.
Kia. You've got makeup brands like Clinique and Shiseido, and you've got all these. There's things coming out of Korea that are cool. But in terms of food, that makes me, I love it. That even my wife loves is their Korean barbecue. So Korean short ribs.
Yeah.
And it's incredible. I love it. I could eat that all day. But people don't like it, but I like kimchi because it's kind of like having when you have sushi and you eat the ginger to kind of cut through kind of cleanses your palate. Mm-hmm. I don't know. The Germans like sauerkraut. Koreans like kimchi. It is what it is.
Exactly. Oh, well, I got to tell you, we're talking about heritage, and I just want to point this out that I took a DNA test, and, not to no surprise, the majority was of European descent, whatever, England, in that area. But I was always trying to cling to something other than that. And so I remember, thinking, well, okay, it showed that I was 10% Iberian. And I was like, hey, that's, why I tan so easily. And I look, and people, my mother, she went to barber school on a Native American scholarship, but she wasn't Native American at all, it turned out, so, it goes on and on. But so I claimed that, and I thought, oh man, I'm going to move to Portugal. I'm going to spend some time, reconnect. And then I got an update one day from the company, and it said suddenly the 10% Iberian was completely gone. And it was something else, and I was like a little bit more of something else, and I was like, "You've got to be kidding me!" So I just recently took another one, and it matched the last results they gave me pretty much. So I'm there are no surprises, mostly European, but now I'm claiming the Viking side, because that's
Yeah.
30. The most percentage I have is from like Norway, Sweden, that area. So,
Yeah.
but Jesse, I feel like I've been tossed around here. Okay, I was Native American, then I was Iberian, and now I am Viking. And I'll tell you right now, if those DNA results change on me one more time, I'm done. I'm not even going to look. I'm just going to stick with what this is right now.
Just be a Korean. Today's days, you can be whatever you want.
Exactly. And I just want to touch one thing. You started to mention about your physically how you look, but I just want to point out, since this is kind of, I call it radio land, but it's podcast land, that you're like the most handsome fella I've ever met in my life. It's disgusting. It's gross.
You know who told me that the other day? Is my mom.
Oh, good Lord. I mean,
My mom about it.
when I've seen those pictures of you down in Vegas or, doing your thing, I'm like, who is this guy? He's like a power player. I mean, no, they're great photos. You're a handsome guy, and not that you wanted to hear that, but it is shocking. So,
Well, I appreciate that.
But no, I want to thank you for being on the show tonight and kind of going down some different paths. And I could go on all night, but I'm sure you'd like to get back to your family now. So, perhaps I'll have you back another time. But I really appreciate everything. And, as you know, I do ask people, and we happen to share the same relative, but my granddad used to say a lot of things. One of them was keep your nose clean if it takes both sleeves. But another one that not a lot of people knew about was he would say, boy, spit wisdom. Now, when you had trouble speaking, he would just spit wisdom, say something that means something. So I like to ask people, if you were to spit wisdom and you had one opportunity to go back in time and you could speak to yourself or somebody historically in all of time, or whatever scenario you thought best, but you had a couple of minutes to spit some wisdom, to shoot some advice to somebody. I mean, it could be anything from, hey, the Atlanta Braves win the World Series, or, hey, let's do this so we don't go to war. I mean, what do you do? Who do you speak to? What do you say? Spit wisdom, Jesse.
Well, if you don't mind, it's a two-parter. If I were to talk to people, one thing that I've been going through lately is looking at myself as a husband, not just as a person who, is looking to financially provide or anything like that, but as a husband and a father. One thing that one of my mentors always told me, if you're not succeeding as a husband, you're a failure, period. Yeah. And that always stuck with me. It doesn't matter what you do. If you're not the leader that you were called to be, you're not taking care of your wife and kids, I don't care anything else you do, honestly. And that always stuck with me. Like, I can make all the money, or I can do this, but if I'm not taking care of my wife, like I swore I would, or I'm not taking care of my kids, I always want to do that. You always used to also say, hey, before you pull in the house and you've had your long day, take 30 seconds and decide how you're going to approach your family. How are they going to see you when you walk in that door? 30 seconds, that's it. Don't shut your car off and sit in there for 30 seconds and say, how are my kids going to see me when I first walk in, right? So all the stresses, all that. So those are things that have been good for me. But in terms of just life in general, the way the world is right now, I think that even bad times are needed. You look in life, I think that tough times, recessions, whatever it may be in life, they serve a purpose. And so I was actually listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and Joe Rogan said something along the line, and I apologize if I butchered this, but he was talking, and he said, so there was a person in Saudi Arabia. He owned a lot of land out in Dubai. He says, see all this? He's like, my father's father and their fathers, they all rode camels. I rode a Ferrari. I have a Ferrari. My sons have Lamborghinis. Their sons are going to have really nice cars too. And then he says, but their kids are going to also ride camels. And the person in this story or the parable said, what do you mean? And I think Joe Rogan, simply put, he said, tough times create strong men. strong men create easy times. Easy times create weak men, and weak men create tough times.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know what that means and where we're at in that cyclical, cycle. But we're really blessed here in America. We've had a lot of success past, since 2008, and there's a lot of, money flowing around the United States and everywhere in the world. COVID's about to end, so who knows, what the world's going to look like. And sad and scary to see what's going on, with the whole Russia situation invading them. So I don't know what's going to happen or what that looks like, but I've been praying for that whole situation, and there's a lot of scary stuff happening in the world. But yeah, that's essentially those are the two bits that I was thinking of recently. So,
well, that is very wise, young man. I appreciate that, and I agree totally with you. And there's a lot of good stuff there. And so, thank you so much for being on tonight. And I'm so proud of you, Jesse. You're an amazing young man. You have a beautiful family. You're educated. You're humble. You're everything all in one package, and you're damn handsome, and it's just annoying. But I love you, and thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you so much. I love you too, Les. Have a great night.
All right, man. Take care.
Right. Yeah, bye.
Bye.
Well, I operate on women. I don't fool around with men. So turn around now, baby. Let's see what shape you're in.
All right. Thank you, Jesse. Okay, I want to thank tonight's guests. Kevin Porkchop Klutts, doing his special correspondence from Southeast Texas.
Don't deny the pain.
And tonight, for the first time, breaking news by special correspondent Jeff Moura from Boise, Idaho. Got a Sasquatch report there. That was great. So yeah, I want to thank tonight's guests, listeners, and sponsors. Bill Murphy Roofing, Wandering Wizard Concepts, Vertical Jigs and Lures, DLC Photography, The Shop, DieselFuelFilterKits.com, History Hunters, and Firearm Antiquities, and the John P. Salter Foundation, and Metal by Moura. Can't forget that. All music provided by Big Steve and the Train Wreck. Remember, keep your nose clean if it takes both sleeves. Say nice things about me, because I am out of here.
Laugh away the rain. Dance for me. Don't wanna see no shame. When you look back at your life, you know it's all the same. You wanna run, you wanna hide, you wanna seek, you wanna find. Sigh for me. You know it ain't no game. When you look back at your life, you know